Okay, good morning. Good morning, you guys. I'm so excited about this challenge. This is the first challenge I have done within Rise Academy, and so this is really exciting. I hope you guys so far have found value in the Manifest Facebook group with the post from yesterday. I hope you've introduced yourself if you're in the Facebook group. I hope you have introduced yourself under the introductory post. If you haven't, please do. Let's make it interactive. Let's support each other, cheer each other on. Just like that's the whole point of it being in the Manifest Facebook group. But if you do not have Facebook, like I know one of you might not have Facebook, that's okay. And as you know, I'm emailing out the recordings and everything to do with the challenge. Okay. So let me just pull up my notes here so I don't forget anything. Today, we're going to be we're going to be continuing to get the creative juices flowing. Okay, so I hope that you did do the journal prompts kind of from yesterday. It's really, really important because today I'm going to be giving you a template to make a virtual vision board. So this is super fun. We're going to be doing it a little bit differently, but today we're going to continue to develop the awareness of where we're at right now, where we believe we are at, and then we're going to continue to expand that awareness and dream even bigger. Okay, so like I said, my intention today is just to continue to help you to think and dream even bigger and to loosen your model. I like to say, like, loosen your model a little bit around what you potentially currently believe is possible and what isn't possible. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing a few of my own personal stories, examples and things like that to hopefully, like I said, loosen your model, like kind of just like open up like, oh, like if that's possible, then of course this is possible. You know what I mean? There's some relatability that it's kind of like a vital piece of manifestation, because if we can't relate to something, we see it as apart from us, separation from us. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go into that more as we go through today. Tomorrow, we're going to go even deeper into the vision board and unpack who we need to be to observe these dreams and desires and manifestations. Okay, so this is where most people stop, right? Most people are like, okay, put it on the vision board and I am going to put it on a pretty place. You know, it looks beautiful. I'll admire it all the time, but that's it. There's this separation. There's like a longing for the things you put on the vision board. Okay, so that's not what we're doing here. I'm going to actually teach you and give you some new awareness so that you can begin to become a different elevated version of yourself to attract those desires to you. Okay, and then our final lesson on Saturday will be learning more about how to use the law of attraction. Just like I said, to effortlessly attract our desires and dreams and manifestations to us. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about law of attraction as we go through. Of course, it is a vital piece to manifestation, and it is a absolute law that is working all the time, all around us and within us and through us and all the things anyway. So that's going to be a vital piece of this whole challenge, okay? And then on the final lesson on Saturday as well, at the very end, the last few minutes, I'm going to be sharing which courses and offerings Rise Academy has open for enrollment. Okay, in case anyone is interested in carrying on with us, there's going to be a fun extra kind of gift for those of you that registered for this challenge. Okay, so make sure as we go through, like with this vision board, I would love if you would share it in one of the posts in the Facebook group, or if you're not on Facebook, just, send it in an email to me so I can see it. I am going to be choosing a winner for something extra special as well, because I would love to, not necessarily like, I'm not bribing you to do the homework, but I want to see you like integrate this material. Okay. It's one thing to just come here to be like entertained or like maybe learn a few things, but it's the integration that's where the magic happens. Like, do the work. Okay, so I would love to see your vision boards, and I might, if we get enough of them together, I might create a little like short video with all of them, anonymously, of course, so don't worry. And yeah, so anyway, post the homework in the group. That would be fantastic. Okay, so the lesson today, there might be some of you here that don't really know much about my backstory. So I'm going to share a little bit about you. I know there was definitely a bunch of people registered that have never been on an event with myself or Rise Academy before. So that's super exciting. So I'm going to give you like a basic run through of kind of my story, where I came from, and how this and kind of teach this work and loosen your model at the same time. Okay. So lots of you know, I used to be the single mom, used to live in government housing and depend on the government to feed my children. Okay. That was my life before. And in that moment, I thought that was me. I identified through that. My self-concept was that woman. Okay. And so I had no support from the father, from the outside. My life looked like, from the outside, it looked pretty restricted, right? It looked pretty like not the best scenario, not very exciting, pretty limited. Okay. But when I had my first child, Macawi, I started my first online business, and it was with a company at that time, and it opened me up to something other than my present results. Okay. And so I hope that if anything, that's what this event helps you to do, is just plant the seed of, oh my goodness, there is limitless possibilities available for me. Okay, something like that. So that's what happened to me. Is I began to wonder, I began to dream, right? So it took me a while. It took me a couple years to realize that I was actually recreating what I knew, okay, from my childhood. It was a learned cycle that I was in, okay, from my upbringing. I was raised by a single mom, similar situation. This awareness, it honestly rocked my world, because I, for some reason, didn't connect the dots together. And so we tend to do that as humans. We tend to stay in what is comfortable and stay in what we know. We also tend to listen to people around us. Okay, so as children, our subconscious mind is wide open. We have no ability to reject ideas. We are just accepting our situation, our reality, the things our parents do, say, act, the way they act. We're accepting it all as truth. And so that begins to build our own, kind of like program our own computer within us, okay, which is our mind. Really interesting, right? So I realized in that moment that I was like, wow, I am living in a program right now, and I have a choice to make. I have the ability to change it. I have the ability to choose again. I have a choice that I can stay here. I can stay comfortable. I can stay existing in this cycle. But with this awareness, this is what I talk about all the time. You have this awareness now. It's up to you to choose again. Okay, so I decided I wasn't going to be continuing to live in default mode. I wasn't going to continue to, that was about the time where I developed the I guess, like, belief. I was like, I'm never going to listen to anyone who isn't where I want to be. Like, I was like, I'm like completely, okay. So I decided that I was going to take a hold of my life and create it on my own terms, apart from my 3D reality. So this is a big piece for our vision boarding, for our journaling, our homework that we had yesterday. Bob Proctor, who's like an OG in manifestation, he was a part of The Secret, the movie. He calls this living from the inside out. Living from the inside out. So it's like creating this idea on the inside and living from there. Okay, so in my situation back then, I had completely detached from my reality. I had to choose to, if I wanted to change anything, I couldn't continue to make decisions from that place. Okay, so I had to create a new one in my imagination. And we all have this ability to do this. No matter what your current situation is, we all have the ability to create a new idea, a new situation in our imagination. Okay, if you were to tell anyone, if I was to tell anyone what I was doing back then, what would have happened? Probably their own limitations would have come up, and I would have been derailed by their own beliefs. Okay, so when we are doing this, it is quite common to think, I am being delusional, I am being irrational, all of these old thoughts and beliefs. So maybe this happened when you were doing your journaling. It's like, you hear somebody from your past, probably some important person or, role model, whatever, saying something to you like, oh, you should just be happy with what you have. Or how is that even possible? Things like this, right? These limitations come up. So when we're creating this new kind of model in our imagination, this new dreams, these desires, these goals that are completely illogical, completely, impossible even, this is what happens is we'll have all these thoughts and these old beliefs come up. So this is what the part 2 of the journal prompt from yesterday is like, write those down, because those are your that's your key. Those are your keys to changing your situation. Those are your keys to reprogramming your subconscious mind. Okay, so then you can take a look at them and you can choose again. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here. So I, prior to having my children, I had been traveling. I think I was in like over 30 countries in 6 years, like traveling, super slow traveling, most of the time traveling alone. And of course you meet friends along the way, but I always had this like love and passion for traveling. So I said, whenever I am to, have children of my own, I really want to show them the world. So when I was in Canada, cold winters, I decided I was going to leave Canada. Okay, so this, again, remember my situation, it's not really common for somebody in that situation to just say, yeah, like, just going to leave Canada, like if I would have continued to exist in that 3D reality, I would still be there, right? I would still probably be in that situation. So what I did and what I'm teaching you here and today is this: we must think, feel, and believe differently if we are to create anything differently in our lives. Okay, so when we're vision boarding, if we are vision boarding from our current reality of, what feels big from right here, or what feels exciting and expansive from right here, we could potentially be limiting ourselves. Okay, so it's really powerful when we discover who it is we believe we are and where we believe we are, so we can adjust our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and even identities accordingly. Okay, so to summarize, and my little story there is, most of I manifested my dream life in Costa Rica. And I did so by first creating the scenario in my imagination and existing there. Okay, existing there. We existed and already lived in Costa Rica it was just me and the little kids in my little tiny apartment in Canada. Okay, and so what does it mean existing there? This is what we're going to do with our vision board. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but it's like imagining and getting the children involved. It was, there is no plan B, right? Sometimes people are like, yeah, but what if? There was no what if, right? When I say I told the children and got them involved, like there's a level of like, trust me, this is going to work out, right? I'm trusting myself, and I'm trusting in something bigger than me, that this is a yes or yes, right? Because if you are like, oh, I can't tell the children because what if it doesn't work out? Then what? You're planning for a plan B, and you're planning for it to not work out. So there is no room for what ifs. There's no room. If there's a what if, there's a limitation, and that limitation needs to be looked at, and it needs to be assessed, and it needs to be released. Okay, so yesterday on the live in the manifest group, I asked the question, the journal prompt, what would I love? What would I love? So if we ask ourselves this, like I said before, sometimes we create from our current situation, right? But what if we recognize that we are, at our core, we are formless spiritual substance? Okay, use whatever words suit you, but we are at our core something that is bigger than our human body, something that is bigger than our human mind. We are completely limitless. And then what if we can acknowledge that and kind of connect in with that and create from there? This is where the magic happens. Okay, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. Just give me one sec. Yes, what would you like? What? Okay. So our spirit is limitless, right? Our spirit is absolutely limitless, but our human has limits. The mind, the ego, the human, not only has limits, but it itself, the mind, is a limit. Because the mind, listen to this. When I first heard this, I was like, gosh, this makes so much sense, right? The mind is it only knows what it knows, right? It only knows what it has learned, okay? So what does that mean? When we try to figure something out, when we try to like masculine, mechanical power through something, we are using our human mind, right? And that is very limited because it only knows what it has learned, right? So it often feels overwhelming. It often feels like exhausting. It often feels like hard work, right? And when we can tap into this in spirit, this spirit led kind of like deep knowingness that everything we need to know is inside of us, we can remember. Okay. So right now, some of you might be like, what does that even mean? Okay. And that's okay. It hopefully will come clearer over the next 3 days together. This is something that I truly like find so much peace in because, you know, being somebody who was a business coach for almost 8 years, that business I started when Macaulay was a little baby, it was primarily coaching in business and it was very masculine. And so our tendencies are to go to that masculine piece though, right? So when we have these desires, these goals, these dreams, and we have them on our vision board, our tendency is to right away be like, okay, let's get down to business. Let's do the work, you know, it's hustle time. And what that does is it creates this like feeling, this stress in the body to figure it out. And so that is using our mind, right? That is using our human, our mind, our mechanics. But what if the spirit or the soul that is us and everything around us and all of us is eternal and knows everything and knows all, right? So I really love the concept of Montessori schooling because their whole premise is like bringing the knowledge out of the child. I love that. Instead of thinking like, you know, I need to teach my child like math. I'm teaching them and they're not getting it. You don't need to teach them anything. You need to bring it out of them. Like set up a scenario or a space for them to explore and expand in their own time. They're going to bring it out. It's going to come out when they're ready. So anyway, similar thing when I was traveling, and maybe some of you can resonate with this, is that, you know, there's some people, including myself, when I was, like I said, when I was traveling, I had this like piece of me that was searching for something. And maybe this might be you right now, right? You're like, I'm searching for like the perfect community, the answers to life, my purpose. Like I'm searching. It feels like I'm like longing for something. But what I personally discovered is that it's within me. It's up to me to create it. So if you want to, you know, maybe you resonate with that, maybe you don't, and that's totally okay. I want you to think about that for a moment, though. So are we expecting or waiting for something to happen? Or are we waiting for the perfect conditions, you know, before we XYZ, right? Are we waiting for our outside world to change first? Okay, so here's a big piece. We are the creators of our reality. We create through our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and our actions. Okay, so if we are waiting for something or the perfect scenario or searching for something, it's within us and it's up to us to bring it out, right? To bring it out and decide what it is. So there's also a law, I'm just going to mention this really quick, but we're not going to go too much into the law of assumption. But if you've been around me or Rise Academy at any point, you've heard of the law of assumption. And so another big piece of this is like, what are we assuming to be true? So the law of assumption states that what we assume to be true will be our truth. So what are we assuming Okay, so what are we assuming? Yesterday we had the task of journaling, right? And so if we truly, really, truly allowed ourselves to dream, you might have experienced some limitations, like we talked about, right? So I would love to hear from you guys, those of you that are on live here, if you can, anyway. I would love to hear from you. How was the journaling? And when you were allowing yourself to dream and to put it down on paper, how did it feel? Did you feel very excited? Do you still feel very excited about it? How did you feel? I'd love to hear from you. You can share it in the chat if you want, or if you feel like you'd like to unmute, you're welcome to.
Well, I will share something. I felt and still feel really excited, but at the same time, I still see those limitations are really hard to get out of the mind. So it's kind of like a little fight. So one part of me is like, yeah, that's gonna be true, and it will be in future like this, and the other part is, yeah, but this and this and this. It's like, yeah, a bit hard sometimes.
I get it. Okay. And that's totally what happens. That's normal. Okay. So a couple of things there. Would you share one of the kind of like the limitations? Is it like, it's not possible? Like, what's a limitation? What is one of the, I love that.
I see I have a big limitation when it comes to money. So I can see many, many, many things of my childhood. Like, I don't know if it's as well like this in English, but in German, it would be money doesn't grow on the trees. So that's a big limitation I have, and it's really hard to get away of that one. And I don't know if the core of all of this is like, do I deserve it? So maybe that's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh. Self, like I said in the video yesterday, the one that I sent it in the email, but it was the challenge number 2 or whatever in the Facebook group. Self-concept and self-worth is so deeply connected to I'm going to say everything, like absolutely everything, and especially money, right? So thank you so much for sharing that. Limitations, we're going to go deeper into this, but let's talk about it. Okay, so what if we're going to talk about it over the next couple of days in more depth, but money is something that people almost everybody that's been on my events has been talking about money. And I did a poll on Instagram the other day, and there was like majority of people were asking were manifesting more money. So it's really, really interesting. So I am planning to do a money masterclass soon, more expanding into money as a spiritual idea. So this is really powerful. I just finished a money course myself to kind of expand my own awareness in that direction, and it's rocked my entire world. So expanding on this money concept. So Kelty says, I definitely go back and forth from excitement to scared or longing. Okay, so before we continue talking about money, what if we recognize that Neville Goddard in the book, The Power of Awareness, he talks about how creation is finished. Okay, creation as we know it is finished. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that everything we desire, everything there is to create is here now. We just need to become aware of it. So I kind of mentioned on I think the past event, I gave the example of a radio station, like a radio frequencies. So all of those frequencies, I don't even know how many frequencies there are, they're all there now. But if we want to listen to the 90s rock channel, we need to tune into the 90s rock channel. And if we're not tuned into the 90s rock channel and we're over here on the 80s funk or whatever, we're going to get the 80s funk, not the 90s rock. Okay, so we just need to adjust our dial, and our dial is our awareness. So this is beautiful awareness, to have the awareness of, oh, I I recognize that I have the belief that money doesn't grow on trees. Even though you said, you know, your dad used to say it all the time. I think my dad used to say that all the time as well. You have that belief. And so by becoming aware of these beliefs, we can then choose again. Because if we don't become aware first, if we say, you know, I want $1 million and whatever, put it on our vision board, and we long for it. And as soon as we see it, you know, for example, if we're in our daily life and somebody drives past in their G-Wagon on their way to, like, you know, go to the spa or whatever, and they have this beautiful home. If in our body, in our mind, we cringe and we're like, oh, wealthy people are so rude, you know, or they're so, you know, they just spend money on like these ridiculous things. What is that? What belief is that? And is that serving us? Even if we are somebody who right now in this moment does not want to be a millionaire, we're still blocking ourselves from receiving money in a big way. Okay. Our whole like human experience is meant to be enjoyed, right? It's meant to be, we are meant to enjoy, we are meant to be comfortable and wealthy and all of the things, right? And so this is really important to understand, because if we have these ideas that money is bad, or that people that have wealth are you know, rude and all these things, this is what's going to be our situation. But what if it doesn't have to be that way, right? What if you know, since we're on the topic of money, like it can be with anything, but money is what drives our economy and our world right now, right? It is a very valuable asset that we do use. Okay. So money, if we have these beliefs around money, like I said before, it's keeping it from us, right? So money, what if money was a spiritual idea? Like I said before, not a material object that needs to be earned or can like go away. Money was created through us and is meant to flow to and through us in circulation continuously. That's a big deal, right? That's totally different. That's a big deal. So I want you to know that, you know, when you're journaling and you're creating this vision board and you have these big ideas and these goals, desires, dreams, and you know, you write about them and you get excited about them, you put them on your vision board. And then what tends to happen, kind of like Kelty mentioned, I go back and forth from excitement to scared or longing. So that's beautiful awareness. It's an opportunity to ask, why? Why do I feel scared? If you want to mention in the chat there, Kelty, like, what do you feel scared of? Okay. Scared to me is like being chased by a lion and losing my life. Okay. I don't like, I think that our language is so powerful as well, and the words we choose to use are very powerful. So instead of saying, I am scared of this, we can say, I am aware of the contrast, or I am aware of the growth, right? That's so powerful, because that's the thing, is our current level of awareness, where we are currently right now in our physical 3D reality in this body right here, right now, there is a conscious difference between that person who has that desire manifested and is observing it in their 3D reality than who we are now. Okay, so with self-concept, like, do I deserve this? Ooh, of course you do, right? Of course you do. So that is something that I wanted to grab my notebook. I shared yesterday on that video as well, that I kind of just had that aha moment of like, even though I'd listened to that book so many times, my current physical situation is only a manifestation of my concept of myself. Okay, what does that mean? So let's take a look just for a moment, do a little quick evaluation of your current situation, your money situation, your relationships. What does that say about your concept of yourself? How does it make you feel? Sometimes what comes up is frustration, right? Frustration is a good thing. It's not, you know, it's an emotion that has energy behind it, because we can harness it and use it to move ourselves forward, but not in the mechanical. It's in the spiritual, the feminine. We're going to talk more about this a bunch tomorrow. Okay. It's really interesting. So to change my current reality, to change and move towards these goals, dreams, desires, I must change my self-concept. I must change who I believe I am at my core. So Kelty said, I guess maybe worried is a better word. Worried it won't happen, or worried it can't be that person. So when we have a dream, goal, desire, it is ours, period. Period is ours. Okay. So it is on our heart, in our imagination, because it is meant for us. Sometimes what happens is we see, you know, we like have this desire, and then we see other people with it, and we're like, oh no, like they've already done it, and then I'm not good enough. And it kind of, you know, snowballs. Okay, that is also complete BS. It's not true. It's a lie. Okay, our true nature is expansion and fuller expression always. The limitations, the lack are man-made. They are made by our mind. They are made by our programming that was made by another human being that was doing their best at the time, you know, all the things, but we have the ability to create. We have the ability to create nothing, or I mean, from nothing. We have the ability to create like from nothing, absolutely anything. Okay. So I get that. I understand that. And also another one that's very common is failure, you know? So it's very important when we're working on really big things. We've talked about this before. This is kind of my own perspective, by the way. And like the book, You Too Can Be Prosperous by Robert Russell, he talks about this as well, that when we have these really big desires and these like dreams, goals, like these really big things, for example, my experience when I was living in that, you know, I was in that situation and I was dreaming and living in my imagination, and as if I was in the tropics. If I would have told anyone, they would have said, you're nuts. You're nuts. That's not impossible. Like, how would you ever do that? Okay, think logically. Think logically here. And that's not what we're doing here. That's not what we do in my world. That's not what we do in Rise Academy. Is we are very illogical, okay, delusional. And that is the secret. Okay, delusion is the secret. Okay, so if we have those worries, if we have those, you know, those fears, that is okay. And say, you know, give yourself grace. Say, thank you for this awareness. Thank you for this awareness. Now, why am I worried? Why am I afraid? Or why am I whatever, right? Why am I afraid of failure? Okay, because again, connecting back into the belief of everything is already finished. Everything is here. That's the separation. That's the main focus of our next 2 days together, is that closing that gap and becoming, discovering who it is we are here to be and who it is that person is that has those goals, dreams, desires in their physical world, and becoming that version of us. That's the next 2 days, and we'll go deep into that. Okay, so let me know if that resonates or if that helps at all. Like these limitations and kind of lack and things that come up are the secrets to our success, because it takes a rehaul, right? A rehaul in our consciousness, in our thoughts and our feelings and beliefs and our self-concept. It takes that to move us forward, right? But the first step is disconnecting, detaching from our current results. Our current results do not own us anymore. Done. Nope, I am not. Like, that's what happened to me, right? Like I mentioned, just one day I was like, holy shit, like this is not, I am not her. I am not this person that I thought I was. And it's very interesting, right? Because there was part of me that was like, you know, I had all these beliefs. I'm a single mom, therefore nobody wants to hang out with me because I'm just one and everyone else is partners. Like, that's such a silly belief. Often beliefs are very silly when we look at them later, or when we look at them like from a third person view, right? Or I don't want to go to anyone's house because then when they offer me something, I'm going to feel bad taking it. What is that about, right? That's a huge self-concept issue right there, right? That's a big deal. And so once I became aware of it, and especially like I love to write, I write all the time. I wrote it down and then I reread it and I'm like, my gosh, that sounds like awful. And I would never want anyone to think that, right? So then we can choose again. And we can choose again. Okay. So let me know if that resonates. So what I started doing in regards to money, I'm just looking at my notes here, is that I used to find that, and I'm sharing this with you guys because I know that, I attract people that have money desires, like expansion desires. That's what we're about here, like rising up, right? That's this whole premise of this challenge as well, is to shift our own consciousness and become aware of an elevated version of ourselves. Okay, so what I shifted for myself is I noticed that when I would see somebody with something that was nice or something that I desired but maybe don't have, I would kind of like feel a certain way. I would feel like, oh, okay, assholes, like I want that. Or like, oh, look at them. So like, spending money on silly things, whatever, right? So I recognized that was how I felt. And of course, what that was doing was blocking my own ability to receive any amount of money. Okay, it was blocking myself from receiving. So instead of that, I would start to catch myself. And I like to use the analogy when we're first starting in this work, especially, but no matter how long we've been studying manifestation, law of attraction, all the things, and putting it into practice, think of it as a path through the jungle. Okay, the most jungly jungle you've ever seen. Look at that. You can see it in your imagination, in your mind's eye. You can see that like clear path that's like just wide enough to just step on it, right? You almost have to put one foot in front of the other. Okay, this is your current thought pattern. This is your current way of thinking, of feeling. These are your beliefs. This is even your self-concept. And you've spent your whole life walking down that path. Every moment of every day, you're walking through that little skinny path through the jungly jungle, okay? And then you come to a masterclass or you come to a challenge like this, and you're introduced to a new concept, a new model, and you start to expand your awareness and you start to choose different thoughts. You start to dream outside of that little skinny trail and you start to step a foot off. What happens? The jungle wants to take you, right? We know how it is. Try to go through and start a new path. Try to make a new path through that jungle. If you don't have a machete with you, you're not getting very far. Okay, and so that's where I see our frustration, or even our community together. We're so much stronger. We're that machete together, and we're going through that jungle, and we're like carving that new path through that jungle. Okay, I hope this helps you, that analogy, to kind of bring it together. Okay, because I have a lot of people that I work with directly that are like, it's hard. My thoughts come and they come in hard, and they come in and they try to derail me and they tell me all these things. And I'm like, it's not true. It's lies. They're lies, right? But we need to remember we're literally bushwhacking a new trail in that jungle that is the most jungly jungle in the whole world. Okay, so give yourself some grace, but remember that trail that you've been walking on for your entire life took an entire lifetime to get that clear. So give yourself grace. When you set these goals, you have these desires and these dreams, and you are taking those first steps off, hard right off the path. Give yourself grace and stay so committed to those desires and those dreams, because if you don't, you'll come right back onto this path. Okay, and it's really easy to just say, oh, it's too hard. And so I'm fine here. It's okay. I'm just comfortable. I have just enough. It's all good. How many times have we said that? How many times have we said that? I have said that so many freaking times. And then the other part of me is like, no, like, that's lies. Like, I'm not listening to you anymore, right? That's the machete coming in. And so it takes determination, it takes passion. In my opinion, it also takes some pretty decent community, and that's what Rise Academy is. Okay, and that's what I hope these free events, if you're somebody that's been coming to free events and you find value from them and you just want to keep coming to free events, do it. I'm here for it. The door is always open. Okay, we do really fun masterclasses and challenges, and you're totally welcome anytime. If, however, you want to join into the community a little bit more, like I said, I'm going to talk about it more on Saturday, but you need those reminders, you need that kind of like little bit of like support and a pep talk to remind you of your greatness, right? We're absolutely limitless. This is huge. Okay. So I hope that analogy helps you. I'm going to screen share now and just show you the template for the vision board, because I'm going to give you a link. I'll put the link in the chat here, and it will be in the email on the replays page for those of you watching on the recording. And all you need to do, I'll show you exactly how you need to do it. Okay, so let me just screen share here. One moment. Of course, we are here. Okay, this should be good. Okay, you guys can see my Canva. Okay, so
Yes.
now what you need to do, this is, maybe you've already done this before in the past, but I've already set it up so that all you need to do, you can use Canva, it's totally free. All you do is take whatever pictures you want and drag it around, and you can search whatever you like. Okay, and so that's what you'll do. Pictures that really truly fire you up, and then over here on the right you can press share and you can download it. Okay, pretty sweet. Yeah, it's very straightforward. If you have any issues, reach out to me directly. I will share the link right here so that you guys that are on live can get started on it. I highly suggest, before you jump in though, yeah, you have a question there? Awesome.
When we do this, is it meant to be like one vision board for any dream, or should it be like a vision board for this dream, for that dream, or how is it meant?
It's up to you. So whatever feels right for you, I would suggest following your intuition. If you want to do multiple, do it. That's great. But for me, I always do like anything. I have always like so many things going on, and so many dreams and desires. I try to just fit them on one. What we're doing here is allowing ourselves to, like I've been saying, to dream, but I want you to dream like pretty big here. I want you to dream big, right? And I want you to put the things that really truly fire you up. And so if the thing, when you look at it, you're like, oh my God, I would love that so much. But then right away, your subconscious is like, but how? Or it's not possible. That is okay. That is okay right now. Over these next 2 days together, we're going to get even clearer on that. And we're going to go into it even deeper so that we can hopefully begin to connect some dots and not look at our vision board as something separate from us, right? Something that's like we're longing for or we're wishing for, because that's not what we're going for. Okay. This is also true sometimes with affirmations, that if we don't, if we don't relate to the affirmation, so example is like confidence is a pretty common one. If somebody wants more confidence, but they believe that they aren't confident, and they affirm to themselves, I am confident, I am confident, I am confident. And the inside dialogue, that sponsoring thought or the subconscious mind is like, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not. And it's kind of like showing them evidence of like, no, you're not confident. That is counterproductive. So that is what I think most people do when they're vision boarding, is they'll put up all these beautiful things and maybe like their goals, desires, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then they look at it and they're reminded that the thing is not here yet, right? They're reminded that the thing is not here. Or they use language like it's in the future, okay? When we're vision boarding, it's very important to close the gap, which is like all of tomorrow, what we're going to talk about. close the gap and assume those desires are already here. Because remember what I told you, creation is finished. If we go from that idea of like, all of my desires are here and they're meant for me, it is completely possible for me to have them. We can relate, we can begin to kind of like see them in a different way. It's just a totally different concept, because if we put them on our vision board and we have that longing or that belief that they're not here yet and it's in the future, it will always stay in the future. Okay, so just a couple little pieces. Oh my gosh, sorry guys, the kids are here today. I don't know if you can hear that. A couple little pieces before we close off today. Watch your language. Okay, number one, watch your language. When vision boarding, if you're saying that this is in the future, or you're feeling or affirming that this is in the future, it will stay in the future. The future doesn't exist. Okay, all we have is here and now. The past also doesn't exist, which hopefully we've started to build the awareness that we can release it. We can release what was. We can release the version of us that was, right? And start to really develop the awareness to get a hold of our habits, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs surrounding everything, so we can choose again and choose in a way that serves us. Okay, so hopefully that's going to be a really fun challenge, is to do the vision board and just make sure that you're, take a moment to ground, to center, and really connect into each item, into each, dream, desire, goal, wish, whatever, and get emotionally involved with it. And that's what we're going to do more tomorrow. Okay, so before we close out, does anyone have any questions? You guys are good. I really am so excited for tomorrow and the next day, because this is going to be a big, huge game changer. And I'm actually surprised I've never done a challenge like this before, because it's so powerful. Like, vision boarding is such a powerful practice. And I do feel like it is a beautiful time to do this, because we are a month and a half away from a brand new year as well. Okay, you guys are good? Okay, amazing. Grab that link, you guys that are on live, and then I'll send it out in the email as well. So I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to be going deeper into these boards we're creating, so make sure you do the board before tomorrow. And I'm going to say one more thing, because I am so guilty of this. Doesn't matter if it's not finished. Okay, finished. Sometimes we're like, oh, I don't know if I want that one or this one, or like, ugh. You have the ability to update it and upgrade it at any point. As our awareness grows, sometimes what happens is, like, we discover, I don't actually want that. I don't actually want that. I want this. Okay, because we begin to upgrade our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs, and our self-concept, and we begin to choose more empowered choices, more even elevated dreams and desires. So at any point, we can change this vision board. You can. So I don't want you to hold yourself back from, like, oh, it's not feeling finished yet, or it's, it can be a work in progress. Before, when you share it before, ideally before tomorrow would be amazing, but in your own time frame as well. I'd love to see it in the group, but just that to hold to close out, because I was like, it's not done yet. It's done. Okay, it's done for now, and you can change it even right after. Okay, so I hope you guys have an amazing day. Have fun with this challenge, and super grateful you guys are here. Hi to everybody again on the recording, and so happy to see you guys on live with me here. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, and with your vision boards. Okay, have a good day. We'll see you later.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.